Hello and welcome, all friends and devotees of yoga and Buddhist meditation. Today is June the 19th, 2019. June the 19th, 2019. It's Wednesday today. And I'd like to continue my lecture series on the wisdom of our Grandmaster Singyu. For those who might have accidentally stumbled into my class, online class, I'd like to introduce Master Singyu. That's if you've not already heard about him. Master Singyu is world famous, just like Dalai Lama. They hardly need an introduction. Master Singyu is the founder of Fo Guangsheng. Fo Guangsheng is the largest Chinese Buddhist organization in the world. And Fo Guangsheng technically established several universities all over the world and established the first one in Africa, the African Buddhist Seminary, and the Nanhua Foundation, which is in Bronkhorstpoort, Johannesburg, South Africa. You know, currently teaching Africans Buddhism and awarding degrees to monks in Bronkhorstpoort, South Africa, teaching Chinese and Buddhism. Over there, a lot of Africans in that region, they're taking great advantage of the resources they have there to try to study Buddhism. And of course, I've been personally interested in Buddhism for quite a while. I just had the advantage that I was born in the United States. I'm an American. My parents are from Nigeria originally, but being that I was born in the United States, I was able to come back here when I was 21. And of course, I've been able to study Buddhism ever since. So I'd like to expound on Master Singyu's wisdom and try to run some commentaries as an African authority on Buddhism, and among the first African authorities on Buddhism, and definitely the first Nigerian authority on Buddhism. I'd like to use the wisdom inherent to Africans, particularly Nigeria, to try to expound upon the teachings of Grandmaster Singyu, so that those of you of possibly the next generation. Generation is almost, I'm 50 years old, so I've actually lived probably half of my life already. So we're looking at those who are 20 and 25 or 15 to 25, put it that way. Really the next generation, or 2 generations away, to be able to really pick up these teachings and really get it, you know, really clear, really clear, like those in Asia would, or in the Americas now, and England and other places where Buddhism has been for maybe at least a century or more. It takes time for the tree to grow. So this is a beautiful work by Venerable Master Singyu. I'm just going to go, without much ado, I'm going to just move on. And you students, you already know my principles. Students, this is an institute for advanced studies, online institute for advanced studies of Buddhism, and you already know my requirements. Those who want to benefit will try to come to my class or listen to my lectures. You want to have your pen and your paper ready so that I can jot down points of wisdom. Or if you trust in your brain so much, you can use your brain to magnetize or memorize some cool points, and then you can take it back to your reflection and meditation and contemplate on them. So I'll proceed with the wisdom, which I call the oracle of the Venerable Grandmaster Singyu. According to the saying, a lofty mountain does not reject any dirt, and so it can become high. The ocean does not shun small streams, and so it can become large. Likewise, in conducting ourselves and dealing with the world, we must have the capacity to tolerate others in order to lead them. If the water is too clean, there will be no fish. If people scrutinize too closely, they will have no friends. The wise treat others by following human sentiments. When people work for them, they will consider their strengths and not resent their shortcomings. All these sayings show that tolerance is a virtue and a noble characteristic. For in exercising our tolerance, we are also cultivating our mind. The following verse offers an apt summary. One can even ride a horse on the head of generals and ministers. One can even row a boat in the belly of a lord. Accept all kinds of grievances in the world. Cultivate a sense of springtime within oneself. The following explains the verse on the capacity to tolerate. 1. I call this the treasures, the golden treasures of the Venerable Master, or the golden keys from the Venerable Master Singyu. Okay? They are for you. You have to possess them by intelligence. If you are an intelligent person, you want to possess this wisdom and use it to improve yourself. Okay? So the first treasure given by the Grandmaster is one can even ride a horse on the head of generals and ministers. This is the first point made here. Okay? Again, as an institute for advanced studies, which I'm establishing online, it's my hope that students of this institute are advanced students, right? Although students who are not really advanced are also welcome to the institute. But this institute, as an institute of advanced studies, we have certain expectations from students and researchers. Okay? Students and researchers who come to my institute of the advanced studies of Buddhism online, and you want to pick this wisdom up and use it to improve yourself and to accomplish success in life, then, of course, as an advanced student, there are certain things that we take for granted, right? I don't have to guide you or direct you too much. I assume that you already know everything that you need to know, right? And that this is true. You know how to use wisdom. You know when you've heard wisdom. You know what to do with wisdom. You know how to keep records of it. But the reason why I still speak, as our proverb says, is because of the young ones. This is an institute for advanced studies, but then it's open to, students who are not really completely advanced, okay? Students who almost have to be babysitted. For instance, I give you an example. Institute of Advanced Studies is supposed to be for like postdoctoral students, students who have already finished their doctorates, or students who already have their master's degrees. Advanced students. There are students with advanced degrees, masters and doctorates. Okay, but this is an institute of advanced studies. Okay, in Buddhism is open, of course, to postdoctoral students. It's open to students doing their PhDs, students who have their master's degrees. It's also open to undergraduates. And I'll argue that it's also open to high school students. Okay, anybody who can read and write, technically, who has the capacity for shorthand, for taking large amounts of information and being able to break it down quickly and into concise form and assimilate it and digest it, you're welcome to my research institute, because that's what we do here. We have large amounts of information, challenging information, which will challenge your intelligence, and we hope that you'd be able, as you study, to be able to deal with this information. You take large amounts of information and break it down into concise form, which you can digest, and then, of course, you should be able to transform or, transmit to the next student. That's what Institute for Advanced Study does, okay? You should be able to take large amounts of information, break it down into concise form, digest it, and of course, you should be able to, from there, transmit your own version of the information. That's exactly why I'm reading Master Singyu. As an advanced student, I was able to do that, okay? So, and I expect you to be able to do that as well. Okay, so I proceed. People who want to achieve major accomplishments need to have magnanimity and the capacity to tolerate. A leader with capacity will be able to bring together many people willing to work wholeheartedly for them. The Chinese historian Bangu, asserted, if those ruling do not have the capacity to embrace their subjects, they should not hold the secret positions. There are many examples in Chinese history when emperors did not dwell on past transgressions or insults of wise counselors, but instead relied on them to gain the throne or further their reign. Therefore, in addition to having knowledge and ability, it is even more important for rulers to have the magnanimity and the capacity to be tolerant. Okay? 2. Second golden treasure from the Grandmaster Singing. One can even row a boat in the belly of a lord. What does this mean? He's giving analysis technically. He's going into the points to analyze it to you so you can use your intelligence to quickly assimilate and digest what the Grandmaster is talking about here. A great person should be able to bend or be flexible, be big or small, and rise high or fall down. They have to embrace both the shortcomings and strengths of others. The founding emperor of the Han Dynasty, Liu Bang, once stated, I am not as good as Zi Fang. I'm not as good as Zi Fang in crafting victorious strategies and winning a battle 1,000 miles away. I'm not as skillful as Xiao in administering the country and pacifying the citizens by providing them with supplies and money. I'm not good in fighting like Han Xin, who can lead 1 million troops and gain victory everywhere he goes. They all have outstanding talent, but when I can use them well, I can rule the land. So, people who want to make use of the strengths of others need to first learn to embrace them, because Liu Bang had the capacity to do so. He was able to unify China. Okay, it's in English, so you have no problem. You've already got the point. Okay, the third treasure: accept all kinds of grievances in the world. Our capacity and cultivation can only be nurtured slowly through trials and tribulations. Therefore, even if we are wronged and abused by others, we have to accept them and should not bear any grudges. In fact, we have to embrace others and repay grievances with generosity and kindness. Because only by doing so will our capacity grow over time. There is a story of a duke receiving as guests those who had unknowingly slaughtered his favorite horse. Another story recounts a king who condoned the attempts of a minister to seduce a favorite concubine. In both cases, they unwittingly saved their own lives in the end through their magnanimity. 4. The fourth treasure from the great Master Singing. Cultivate a sense of springtime within oneself. As the Chan verse asserts, when there is no attachment in our minds, even a small bed is wide. When we have sand in our eyes, even the whole universe seems narrow. When we can openly and completely accept the different climate, the different climate of the 4 seasons, then all the beautiful vistas of spring, summer, autumn, and winter reside within our hearts. Even spring flowers and grass have to go through the heat of summer, the tempests and chill of autumn, and the cold and frost of winter before they can sprout and blossom again. Hence, even sages have to withstand hardships and obstacles in order to perfect their outstanding character. Mencius said, okay, Mencius, which is the greatest scholar of the Confucian tradition, Mencius said, the benevolent are invisible. The benevolent are invincible. Benevolence signifies tolerance. The greater our tolerance, the more we can accomplish in our career and life in general. The greater our tolerance, the more we can accomplish in our life, in our career and life in general. Hence, every great character must have the capacity to tolerate. Every great character must have the capacity to tolerate. We have to tolerate and embrace the strengths, shortcomings, merits, and faults of all kinds of people. When we can tolerate others, they will reciprocate, and our relationships will thrive. This is a brilliant teaching. What a brilliant teaching by the great Master Singyum. So folks, you already know what to do. I expect you to reflect and meditate on these profound resources of wisdom. Namo Amitofo.